Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you watch this video, I say all these greeting formulas because in our days, videos shoot around the world and you don't know. I do not know when anybody is watching my videos. I make it a little bit in the afternoon here today, but anyway, here's one of our watch straps I just finished, and I'm demoing it a little bit different. Sorry for my hands, but I use them, and man, they're hard to keep clean. I try my best. This is a 20 millimeter curved lug, and this is a deployment buckle. And when I say I demo it different is often I close it, and I left this one open. A deployment buckle, you just basically close once this way and you adjust on these holes. I think this is a 7.5 for 7.5 inch wrist. Then the center hole somewhat would be close to that, and then you can go up and down depending on what your comfort level is. Why is that? Well, your wrist swells and shrinks during the day. It measures different. Your watch is different from my watch. It can be thicker, it can be thinner, so you find the most comfortable hole, and throughout the day you'll be pretty fine then. If you wear your strap really tight and of course your wrist swells during the day, then you might get too tight, but you can always take your watch off for a few hours. The straps will be cleaned before they leave here, and if you see anywhere a little white speck, then it's just me and my dirty ways. Well, this strap is for one of our clients, and I will put our client's name in the description or in the title, so you will know for whom it is. I do not know on what, I don't remember what watch, what strap that watch will live on. I show it on our little Omega here, on our shop Omega, but I remember it is not going on an Omega. It's going on a different brand, so naturally we're not delivering it with a Omega buckle. That would be clashing. So we put one of our neutral buckles on, same buckle except it doesn't say Omega because it's not gonna go on an Omega, but that goes on everyone. We like to use by these days almost exclusively our short shaft buckle. This part is shorter on the buckles we have especially made for us, because on 7.5 and smaller wrists you need that for to achieve a good comfort. But anyway, this is a deployment buckle, and I demo it differently because then I can show it to you a little different as I do. And here, this is a curved. Let me pull this out here. I didn't put the lug bar in, and it's a curved. You can see the curve here. See this. And in order to retain this, you need to put a curved lug bar in. If you put a straight lug bar in, it will pull the curve out. No harm done, but you will lose the curve that slightly follows the curve of your watch. It creates aesthetic pleasing look, and if you put a straight lug bar in, it's gonna pull that curve out. It let a strain to have a curve, and if you use a curved lug bar for your, then you will retain that curve, and I ship it with if I have a lug bar, a curved lug bar, I put it in there, and I don't recommend our lug bars to put on expensive watches, but I put one in. But if I don't, then we put in a training wire, just so it the shape is retained throughout the transport and so on. See, the Horween leather, and maybe I can show it when it squeezes to a degree. See, so when you put it in there as a 20, then it has a good curve. Maybe you see it on this side, still in there, and you see how it follows the curve a little bit. When it's straight, it's also possible. The straps are everything is handmade on it. The leather is Horween leather. It's a beautiful sheen on these Horween leathers. They're drum dyed and not sprayed. Some leather manufacturers drum dye a little, and then they spray the top coat so it looks very, very uniform. I find it plasticky, and then those leathers don't develop a patina. This leather develops a patina because it doesn't mask the leatherness of the leather. It shows that it is an organic material. And what that means is, let's say the cow would have gone by a rose bush and has a little tear in here, then you would see that. And I call it character. People would call it imperfection. Depends on the people you talk to. But this leather shows its character. And if you perceive it as character, you'll be in heaven. Because you can see the aliveness or the organicness of that material. To this organicness of leather, and some leathers don't look very organic. That's what I'm explaining here. When you add to that a handmade, then you add a human element, which is a certain inconsistency. That is what I call the human element, because a human can only be so similar from action to action, and then that's how art is made. You have a human in his inconsistencies and perceptions, and then you have a irregularity, you could call it, even so that has a negative connotation. But if you get over the usage of the level of words, then all of a sudden you can go to individualism, and these straps are highly individual. And so you have a handmade strap, organic, very nice organic leather that is not sprayed but drum dyed. And in this way you're creating a watch was a strap, you pair it with a strap like this, you're creating a very unique piece of jewelry that you wear. If that's your thing, we're probably gonna be in heaven. And as a client and a supplier, the straps, and I show you this too, are contour cut, and that means they are more stout here, as you can see, and less thick here. The buckleless boss, it dictates measurements like the width here, and it also dictates how thick it can be here. And see, it's thinner here. You can't really call it thin. This are very substantial straps, we call this contour cut. Our straps have that, so they're very comfortable and on a stout strap you have to come up with something like that, because if you make thin straps, well, they're thin everywhere, and you don't need a contour cut. But when you make stout straps, as we do, or substantial straps, then that was a necessity to keep them comfortable and functional. So that is on both sides a contour cut. It has, as I explained, a curved lug here. You see it pretty good. It's of course hand stitched and hand cut and hand everything. Was dirty hands on top of it. Well, it's really, when you are a craftsman, then, and you work with your fingers, with dyes that are supposed to be permanent. They're permanent on your skin too, and they go good luck washing. But enough now of excuses on my hands. Thank you very much for listening to my videos, and thank you very much for your trust and support. We are on, please like and subscribe if you like, and subscribe to the videos. We are on eBay, I think, for over 15 years now. You can read, I'm sure, over 5,000 comments if you want to read. And we also, of course, have a website, MüllerandSon.com. Our straps can be made to order. You just really need to let us know what lug width you want. This is a 20. It can be a 21 or 22 or 23 or 24 if that's your watch. And I wouldn't know. Yeah, well, but the stitching, maybe I can say something to the watch strap. That's good to know. The stitching is in the upper part. We double saddle stitch. A saddle stitch is a technique of stitching that makes this specifically or specially durable. That's why usually the stress is on us up here. The rest is singular stitching, and the edges also get nicer over the years. They don't get uglier. I think this is pretty much what I have to say to this one for now. Again, thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye bye.